Hi everyone, it's great to have you back with us. Haven't we enjoyed some amazing weather this week? I hope you've managed to get outside and enjoy some of the sunshine too. Now where do you think I am today? I'm sat outside, that's right, I'm in my garden. And the reason I'm here is because I thought it might give you a clue to what our story's going to be. So I'm sat on my picnic blanket, I've got a basket and I wonder what's inside. Shall we have a look? Got my drink ready. Nice healthy apple, a little sweet treat and the all-important sandwich. Now, picnicking outside, does that ring any bells with you? I wonder what our story is going to be. Before we go to our story, there's a little challenge I'd like you to watch, and then maybe afterwards you could give it a try too. And at the end of the challenge and thinking about the picnic, I wonder what our theme is. Hi everyone and welcome to our Draw on Your Back challenge. So we've got a challenge that we're going to demonstrate and maybe you can have a go a little bit later. It's really straightforward. So I'm going to get my pen and I'm going to draw on the piece of paper on Karis's back. And she is then going to draw exactly the same as me on the piece of paper on Alex's back. Alex is going to draw exactly the same as Karis on this piece of paper. Okay, so the idea is that by the end, exactly what I've drawn will be on here. Let's see how we get on. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Okay, there's the first bit. Next bit. Karis, you've got a very wiggly back.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. How are you doing? Can you guess what I'm drawing?
No. Lots of circles.
Is it ticking?
You haven't got any circles.
Okay, 2 more bits and we're done. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, let's have a look then. Ta-da!
I started like a butterfly.
Yeah, so did I, just reversed.
Okay, you have a go. Do you think you could do this any better?
Jesus feeds 5,000. As soon as Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But the crowds heard where he was headed and followed on foot from many towns. Jesus saw the huge crowds as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick. That evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said, "This isn't necessary. You feed them." "But we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here," he said. Then he told the people to sit down on the grass. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked towards heaven and blessed them. Then, breaking the loaves into pieces, he gave the bread to the disciples, who distributed it to the people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterwards the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. About 5,000 men were fed that day, in addition to all the women and children.
So, did you guess right, everyone? Did you guess the story? And have you got the theme? So in our story and in our challenge, it's all about how when we work together, when we help each other out, we can get so much more done and we can really be part of what we call is amazing community. We've seen lots of great examples of people coming together in lockdown, helping each other out, helping folk that can't get out to do their shopping. Some of you guys putting pretty pictures of rainbows in your windows to cheer people up, leaving little gifts on doorsteps, all sorts of fun things. It doesn't matter how little it is, we can all play our part in helping each other. Jo's been up to some exciting things in her garden, and she'd like to show us another example of this.
Thank you, Vicky, and welcome back everybody to the lab, because we have another exciting experiment here today. I've been asked to test if you can lift a bucket of mud with a piece of wool. Now this has the potential for being a rather messy experiment, so we can't do it here in the lab. So instead we are off to the Horsham District Global Scientific Testing Facility, or HDG STF for short. So let's go. Off we go. And here we are. For our experiment today, I have one empty bucket, one bucket containing soil and a piece of wool. Let us try with the empty bucket first. So here we go. Here goes the wool. Do you think it will lift? Let us see. 1, 2, 3. Yes, indeed it does. Rather easily. So now we come to the bucket containing soil. We will do the same again. Through goes the wool. And are we ready? Do you think it will lift it? Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Up it goes. And oh! So, it appears that a piece of wool cannot lift a bucket containing soil. But, hold on a moment, I might be able to help. I take some pieces of wool like this and I tie them together and I plait them away like this. Then, when it is all finished plaiting and the ends are tied off, it's time to try again. So once again, we shall put it through under the handle. And do we think it will lift the bucket this time? Let us see. 1, 2, 3, and yes, up it goes. It has lifted the bucket. So it appears that when a number of strands of wool have been tied together, it makes it strong enough that you can lift a bucket with soil in it with a piece of wool. Well, there's a result. Today we've been talking a lot about being together, working together, sharing together, supporting one another, and that experiment in particular was about being stronger together. Do you remember when we had the bits of wool that were plaited together and how they were strong enough to lift that bucket? Maybe you can remember a time where you felt stronger because you knew other people were around you supporting and encouraging you. Do you know, when our daughter Deborah was much younger, she used to get really anxious about her swimming lessons and she needed us to help and encourage her so she felt strong enough to go swimming. We did this by putting our hand like that against her hand like that, and we went zzz, and it was just as though we gave her some of our strength. Even though we couldn't get into the pool, it helped her to remember that we were still there, still supporting her and still encouraging her, and she felt stronger because of it. God encourages us as his family to work together. All of us, even you, have a part to play in helping and encouraging each other. We are stronger together. We're off now to Phil and Christina, and they've got a craft to show us.
Hi kids! This week we'll be doing a craft that will help us to learn to be stronger together.
So you'll start off with 2 differently coloured pieces of A4 paper, and you'll use a ruler to mark off 2 centimetre lines all the way down both sheets of paper. You'll end up with this, with all these lines down both sheets of paper, a spare 1 centimetre strip each side which you throw away. Then you use scissors or whatever you want to cut the strips. Ask a grown up if you need to. And here we have lots of strips of paper. Once you have your 10 different strips of each colour, the next step is to lay out one of the colours like this, very carefully, so that it's like this. And then I'm going to very carefully put a piece of tape over there and press it down. Then you will take your strip from your other colour and look very carefully. You then say to yourself, lift up this end, push the strip along. Next strip, say it to yourself, push down, push along. Next one, lift up, push along, push down, push along, lift up, and keep going until you have all 10 strips in place. Once all 20 of your coloured strips are interwoven, you should end up with a weaved mat just like this. Now, for added strength, we need to add tape all along the top outermost strip. So I'm going to just put one here, so it's end to end from there to there. Once you've done that, and do the same on the back as well, you then cut off all the leftover edges, and you'll end up with a finished mat just like this. Take your finished mat, your weaved mat, and fold it 3 strips in from each edge like this. And then once you have your fold lines, you can then cut like that, and because you've taped around the edges, it will not fall apart. Once you've cut all 4, then you can then do this, put it together and start stapling the corners. And you do this on all 4 sides until you end up with a finished paper basket. To make the handle of the basket, repeat the process of weaving a mat, but this time it only needs to be half the size. I've got 4 strips wide. Again, put tape all the way around the edge so you end up with this. I then fold 1 strip in from each edge, so I have my handle with nice edges. I then hold that in place, staple it like that, come around and do another one, extra strength. One more there, and the last one. There we have my finished basket. I'm going to drop a stone into it and lift it up.
Hey kids, so there's another great week we've had together, and so much once again to do and to learn. You know, we can't all be good at everything. We can't do everything. Some of us are good at listening, some of us are good at speaking, some of us are good at being great friends. Some of us are good at playing music or singing or bringing their gifts. Some people are good at raising money. Some people are good at baking. We're all good at different things. And when we come together in unity, that's when we become community. And that's what we're called to be by God. He calls us to be his people. Every person bringing what they can. That's what the church is all about. That's why we have these videos, to connect ourselves together, to remind ourselves that God has given us special gifts. So perhaps when you finish watching this video, you can chat with those at home. What gifts have you got? What can you do? How has God gifted you? And how can we use that together in the great community, which is God's people? Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Grace and peace be yours.
You are here. with you.